The NBA and the Premier League, they are probably the most two popular sports leagues in the world, give or take the NFL and the Indian Cricket Premier League. But in this video, we are going to look at what English football, and maybe just football as a whole, can learn from the NBA. So just quick disclaimer, there's a lot I don't like about American sports. I hate how it is seen as an event, how they claim the Super Bowl is the biggest game in the world, and where it's basically just a glorified advert with a couple of teams playing in each half. I don't think we can just turn our noses up at American sports. I think there is actually quite a lot to learn from them. So to start with, I think the Hall of Fame is a big thing that the Premier League can learn off the NBA. The English one started in 2021 and there's been so many inductees. There's been Thierry Henry and Alan Shearer were the first ones, and there's been quite a lot since. However, if you compare it to the NBA Hall of Fame, I feel they celebrate the history so much more than the English game. And if you look at it, someone like an Andy Cole, who has been criminally underrated, and I think as history's gone on, people are going and looking back at how good of a player he was. He is not celebrated anywhere near as much as he should be. Whereas you compare it to NBA, every single year they have inductees and they have ceremonies for these players. And it's even when a Michael Jordan got inducted, he was able to have a speech, as they all do. And I think this would be a great idea for the English game, because when Thierry Henry came in, why wasn't there a ceremony for Arsene Wenger to say a few words and induct him into the Hall of Fame, and you have all of his ex-teammates there to celebrate him? Whereas in this one, it just really seems like it's a Twitter poll, and they get put in, and then that's it. It doesn't mean anything to them. I'm sure most of them don't really even care. Whereas it feels like in America with basketball, and just any sport, it feels like it's an honour to be put into the Hall of Fame, because you get a nice jacket, you get a big ceremony, and you are seen as one of the great players of the game. I think another thing that the Premier League can learn from, maybe not just the NBA, but just sport in general, to mic up the referees.
Man, I have fun every night.
Because there is such a huge problem in English football at the moment with refereeing and officiating.
Stop it, because you're ruining football for everybody.
And I think that could be solved if you give referees more of a personality. In the NBA, they have mics on them so you can hear what they're saying. They talk to the players more like they're their peers rather than in English football, where it seems like the referee's the head teacher, and if you dare speak to him that, you are going to get booked or sent off. I think if you gave them more personality, it gives them more accountability, because sometimes, yes, we do know all the referees in the Premier League, and I don't think it's good to make them celebrities. However, they're not accountable for a lot of their actions. They're not accountable for messing up a lot of the games. And it's only since now, where Mike Dean's on Sky Sports and a lot of them are going on podcasts, that they're able to explain decisions more. I think micing up could just go along with all the players, really. It'd be great to put more of a personality to the players. I mean, especially for the kids.
Well, Merry Christmas, boys.
I think just putting a mic on the players as a whole would be great, because I think players are so out of touch nowadays, and it'd be great for kids to see their favourite players talking on the pitch. But you saw in, for example, I think it was the American series in pre-season, and they put GoPros on the chest, and it was so fun to see. We've never seen it before, where I think it was Tielemans had it on his chest against Newcastle. And one, I think it made people appreciate the game a lot more, because they saw how quick players got closed down in the Premier League. But two, it just makes the fan feel more involved in the game, because I think now more than ever, the fans are feeling so disattached from football, because, you know, players are just robots nowadays, aren't they? 90% of them have no personality whatsoever, and they are just basically a PR team. So anything really just to get more personality to the players, to the referees, I think will just unite the fans, and I think that can only be good. Another one, I'd love to have retro jerseys in the game. I can't believe this isn't a thing already. One, because clubs will make an absolute fortune. Retro jerseys, or retro shirts in England, obviously, they are so popular nowadays. If you go in a pub when there's a football game on, you'll see Man United ones with Sharp on it and Beckham on the back, or Liverpool ones from the 80s and 90s, or the Man City brother ones that Oasis are very famous for wearing. I think could be such a good thing, because if you just had once a season where it was retro shirt night,
Not since 2007.
where each club will wear a shirt from the 70s or 80s. One, like I said, in the Hall of Fame, it would give more praise and more honour to people of the past, you know, the historic players. You could even bring out a few historic players who used to play for even like Bournemouth or Burnley, who most people don't know other than them clubs. It'd just be fantastic. I remember when Man United, Man City played in their old shirts against each other. It was so good, and I don't really know why they don't do it, because if you look at it for great causes, but when Arsenal recently played in all white for the knife crime awareness campaign, they obviously can change the shirts, and I know this would be more of a gimmicky one than an actual real cause, but it proves they can do it. And I mean, what a great feeling for older fans as well, because it's not just about younger fans. All fans should be involved. If you're a 70-year-old man who's followed Man City through all the divisions, and you've seen Erling Haaland wear the same shirt that Mike Summerby used to wear, Wouldn't it be a great feeling to do that? I'm not really sure why it hasn't been done, because for teams as well, how much money would they make off shirts selling all the retro ones to the kids, to the old fans? Because they sell a lot anyway. This is a quick one, and to be honest, I could take it or leave it, but it might be a good one. Half-time interviews with players and coaches. I think that's always a good one. It would be great if, Liverpool were 2-0 down to Burnley at home and they managed to get Klopp on the way out. One, it'd be good value for the cameras because I'm sure they get a good reaction out of him. But two, it'd be interesting to hear what he would say. He might give some of the reasons why they're not playing well. Mo Salah hasn't been tracking back well, or Darwin Núñez hasn't been making those runs into the box. And although we can see it on the TV screen, it's always good to hear what the coaches think because we don't really hear that as much. An all-star game could be a great one as well because that's been thrown around so much. You could have North versus South, and there's so many good teams in each area of the country. And in America, they do this so well with the NBA. I think recently it's gone downhill quite a lot, but they have a slam dunk competition, they have a skills competition, the all-star game, and a Rising Stars game. Why can't you do this in football? Look at the PK Kings tournament that you recently did. You got loads of old players doing that. They sold out the new camp for, what, a 7-a-side game? It had new rules in it. Why can't we do that in the Premier League? I don't really see why not. Why can't you get old players, they do for charity games all the time. Why can't you get a Steven Gerrard, a Frank Lampard, a Thierry Henry all to play against each other on a special day, in March or February sometime? And me personally, because I was just a massive fan of Wayne Rooney's Street Striker, you could do this because one, if you were playing for, let's say, Brighton, for example, you might be a lesser known player, but if you played in Wayne Rooney's Street Striker Challenge, obviously change the name, you might be able to showcase how good you are because these Premier League footballers are quality of football. But sometimes we think if you're playing for, Fulham, for example, you're an average player, whereas they're actually very, very talented players. They just a lot of the time don't get to showcase it because they're defending half the time. But imagine if it was at Wembley and one challenge they had to drop a ball off the stadium and they had to control it. One challenge they had to get a ball into the stands into like a bucket or something like that. I don't know if any of you watched it back in the day, but it was one of the best football TV shows about. I think my final thing on it would be have more light-hearted punditry. And I know I just did a video slating English media, and I stand by it because if you look at CBS with Jamie Carragher, Micah Richards, Thierry Henry and Kate Abdo, it is probably the best punditry show after, Champions League games because they don't take themselves too seriously. They all know what they're on about, and it doesn't feel like they're saying stuff just for the sake of it to get clicks. They're saying it because they actually mean it, and their personalities can carry through the views that, they need. And if anyone watches the NBA who watches this, if you watch Inside the NBA with Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson, it's probably their best. It's probably their CBS with, Mick Richards, Jamie Carragher, because they don't take themselves too seriously. They all have the pedigree to back up what they're saying, and a lot of the time it's very entertaining because they have a laugh with each other. They don't take basketball too seriously. You can go on The Athletic, The Guardian to take football seriously. Surely after a game sometimes, you just want to have a laugh. And yes, if your team's been smashed, then fair enough, you might not want to watch it, but then don't watch it. Other fans might want to watch it just for the entertainment rather than the analysis. In conclusion, I think this is just the whole thing with English football. It's just stuck in a time warp in my opinion. I think there are so many dinosaurs, including the fans, where look at all this VAR stuff at the moment. I like that people are trying to be innovative in the Premier League because I hate the fact that English football is just so behind the times. And yes, I do not want to change it to an American sport because I don't like the event, like I said, and I don't like just the pageantry because that's just not English football. It should be about, watching the terraces with your mates and everything with that. But I think there are changes that could be implemented in the next few years, and hopefully they do. But if you like this video, if you could leave a like, that'd be great. And if you could comment, let me know if you think I was wrong or right, any things we could take from other sports, not just the NBA. And also if you could subscribe, that'd be really appreciated. But thanks for watching.